Listen, I don't want you to be in this situation that I was, so you better start doing it from the very beginning. Hi everyone, it's Lisa, and today's video is a continuation of part 1, employee training and development, 2 things I wish someone would have told me when I just started. If you haven't watched the first part, make sure you do it after you finish watching this one, and don't forget to check all free resources that are available in the description. And without any further ado, let's get started. So, revelation number 1, start recording and measuring all your efforts from day 1. There is a general belief that training is something good for employees and it's hard for training and development to bring any harm, right? So that's why you might not think from the very beginning how to measure and why to measure, and think about the impact that the training will bring. Which kind of impact I'm talking about? The change in people behavior, the change in the way things are done, increase customer satisfaction, maybe higher sales volume, higher customer retention rate, reduce expenses in certain area of your business, and so on. Think about it from the day 1, because this is what the management will ask you during annual performance evaluation. So let's jump directly into how you can measure effectiveness of your learning and development activities. So the most common way to measure learning and development activities is through Kirkpatrick training evaluation model. There are 4 levels: reaction, learning, behavior, and results. Level 1, which is reaction, is the most common these days. Basically, it is a post-training questionnaire about participants' satisfaction with the training, what they liked about it, did they like the content, did they like the facilitator, the relevance of the training to their job, and so on. And listen, this is a great starting point even if you don't measure or do anything else. As long as you read and take action on the comments, you're good. Level number 2 is learning, and the learning measures the degree to which participants acquire the intended knowledge. This is great when you have especially information related trainings when people need to remember a lot of things at the same time. It could be a product or services that your business is offering. It could be health and safety rules that you want your people really to remember well. It can be something like menu knowledge, recipe knowledge, and so on. You can measure this immediately after the training, or you can do it 1 week before the training and 1 week after the training, so you can see a difference in people's learning. Okay, now let's talk about level 3 and level 4, and this is something that I would call a heavy duty, and you want to use them very strategically. Reasons for that is that, first of all, it will take you some time to measure things at this level. And another reason is that not every development activity is strategic. Sometimes it's just an awareness session, right? Sometimes it's just inductions for employees, or sometimes it is just something that it's nice to have or good to have. So level 3 is behavior, and this is where you measure the degree to which participants have applied what they learned from the training when they are back to work. I would say 2 or 3 months after the training is the most appropriate time to measure it. So you would ask how to measure. The most common way is through observation and the feedback. Now, this observation is feedback is from the manager whose employees went on the training, and your own. So when you ask a manager's feedback, it's better to have it written. Have the manager have seen any changes in the behavior or in the way things are done. For example, you sent your employees training on selling and upselling training. So after 2-3 months after they attended the training, have you seen any change in behavior? How do they talk to the customer? Which sentences they use? Which persuasion techniques they use? Or they attended the training, they said it was very nice, but there is no changes in day-to-day operations. And finally, level 4, which is results. These levels measures and analyzes the impact the training had on a business level. So to measure this, you would need to define the measurable outcomes of the training before even start doing it. Okay, the question you can ask yourself and the management of the company: if this training initiative is a success, what kind of measurable changes do we expect to see? And let people talk, hear their opinion, their answers, and then together define 2 or 3 metrics that you would agree on. It could be, for example, increase of customer satisfaction score, increase of employee engagement and retention scores, sales volume figures, market share of the organization, and so on. Now, please note that these outcomes are rather broad, long-term, and they created by many people in the organization. So you can't say that increase in customer satisfaction scores happen only because of the training, but definitely training could be part of it. Okay, so you might have a question: so do I measure all development activities through all levels? The answer is no, and this is my personal opinion. Okay, I would say level 1, which is reaction, would be applicable for all training and development activities. Level 2 you want to use when you really want to measure the knowledge that people acquired after the training. Level 3 and level 4 should be applied to the most strategic and the most expensive initiative. By expensive, I mean either you pay a high training fee to a third party, or when you have a large number of employees going through this training, so it really takes a lot of organizational time and hours. I would say if 40% or more of your employees going for a certain training, I would say measure it, definitely. Revelation number 2: many times training is not the best solution to your company problem, and it would be your job to say, no, there are other ways. When businesses face with challenges, problems, training is usually considered one of the solutions, and if fast solution, okay, we need a training, search for training provider, approve the training, the problem is gone. Employee survey shows that employees are not happy with their managers, the solution: management development training, and so on. Let's take an example which is very common these days: stress prevention training to reduce increased burnout rate. Does it make sense? It depends on whether the problem is really related to the individual skills. Let us imagine that in the stress prevention training, your employees are going to learn how to take regular breaks, switch off their phones on the weekends, stop working overtime. No doubt, all sensible and effective new behavior. But this new behavior might be simply in conflict with your business practices and standards. Depending on the work culture, employee might get funny looks from their co-workers if they have a coffee break at 10 a.m. for 15 or 20 minutes. Their supervisors will point out to their all-in-work contracts if employee leaves work sharp at 5 or 6 p.m. depending on the end of the business day. They might fear being accused of slacking off and showing a lack of commitment. So if that happens, they won't stick to their new behavior that they learned on the training. Burnout in this company might be not the question of the skill of the employees, but the question of empowerment and respecting work-life balance. So, to decide whether training is the right solution to the problem, the first and most important thing you need to do is to ask a skill question. Think about the behavior you are aiming to instill through a training and ask yourself, what do we want our employees to do differently in their day-to-day work after this training? Then ask yourself and the managers why they have not been doing it until now. If the answer is because the lack of certain skills, then do the training. If there are other reasons, forget about the training for a moment and try to solve the key reasons, the key problems first. The reasons could be the company's policies and procedure. You might need to reassign some duties and responsibilities. You might need to fire some people that don't fit into the organization. You might need to hire right people that will bring a desired change. Okay, so To sum it up, thing number one, measure and evaluate your training and development activities from the day one. And number two, look for real solution to a company's problem. Many times training won't be that solution. And this is it for today. Please let me know in the comments what would you like to see in the next video. I would like to know how can I serve you better and how can I help you. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you would like to see more of the similar content, you can always check and follow my Instagram channel. I share a lot of tips there, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.